Previously on Foursquare Sports, on October 15th, on episode 20 of the show, yours truly said this. You know what? This might cost you a punishment. I think Indiana could win the Big Ten. Guaranteed! Little did I know that on December 6th, the day I was at a 50th birthday party, I checked my phone and I see that Indiana won the Big Ten against Ohio State by a score of 13-10. Look at me predicting the future. And Alec and Kevin were giving me roses, so you might as well just call me the Bachelor.
Get Fernando Mendoza the Heisman right now.
Seriously, give him the Heisman right now. But anyway, I also, on the last episode, episode 25, I said that we would not be doing Foursquare Sports till December 27th, which is the Saturday after Christmas. Well, we lied because we're here. And we got a lot of stuff to get into. We got baseball. We got college football. We got NFL talk. We got a packed house site. So let's get started and let's hit the brand new intro. Let's do it.
I'm in control of you.
I don't care.
Thank you.
This rod can kill you.
Am I missing something here? Oh, wait, there it is. Guarantee! That is how we kick off our return after 3 weeks of hiatus. So I want to give a shout out to Random Music Redux, who allowed me to use the instrumental for Shinedown song. That was Enemies. One of the dopest songs they have. If you ever heard that song before, it's damn good. And for those who know, I love Shinedown and rock music in general, but Shinedown takes the cake over anybody. Anyways, Matt Sirianni, Alec Nava, Kevin Douglas Collins, John wants to join shortly. And we got two people who are special guests today. We got Lily Schumacher and we got Jake Hauger. Two people who are part of the Foursquare Fantasy 2025 League. We got a lot of stuff going on. And you're only allowed on the show if your record is 7-7 or better. No, in all seriousness, Ritos and Sammy, we love you both. And this has been an incredible season. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Not just fantasy related, but also in professional stuff. We're going to start off where we would start on an episode like this, where madness has been happening, Major League Baseball. So if you have followed the winter meetings, it was pretty sluggish overall if you're looking for like actual news about the game and how Major League Baseball can change. But on the free agency front and the signings that could potentially happen this year, we had a couple bombshells. The most recent one was yesterday that was high of note. Pete Alonso, first baseman for the Mets, signed a contract with the Baltimore Orioles, not the Red Sox, who people were linking him to, the Orioles. And also, Edwin Diaz also left the Mets to go to the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's probably going to be either their setup guy behind Tanner Scott or either their closer, probably the closer role. But the Dodgers had a weakness at the bullpen position in their bullpen. They fixed that. The Orioles, I did not expect them to get Pete Alonso at all. And if you're a good friend of ours named Jake Cardinelli, God bless you. But before we get into more on this, I want to talk to Lily here. What happened? What did David Stearns do this entire time? Especially because no contracts were offered. No offers were made.
So everything that I saw that came out talking about all these, specifically with the deals for Diaz and Alonso, it just seems like there was nothing. It seems like that, what was the tweet we saw earlier where it said concepts of a discussion or something of that nature. And in terms of Alonso, or no, that was in terms of Diaz, apologies. But concepts of a discussion, what does that even mean? Where is that even taking you? And the Mets are somebody that we have seen actually go pretty big in the last few years in terms of their signings, between, obviously the big one being Soto. And we know they're capable of it. They have the money to. They have the ability to. David Stearns came there and had this, attitude of all these different decisions that he made while he was in Milwaukee, he saw a lot of success. Obviously, there was something I like to ignore in terms of the Josh Hader trade, but he did a lot of really good things and managed to work with a small budget. So you think he'd be able to go there, work with a bigger budget, make these same types of moves. Instead, they're silent. Instead, they do nothing. And I really just don't know what this means for the Mets. If I'm a Mets fan, I'm angry. I'm scared because what are we going to be doing? We already lost two really pivotal people and individuals within our team and our roster who were big names, not just, whoever, somebody that's maybe an extra outfield or anything like that. So right. I'd be alarmed. This is where I also mention Matt Arnold for the Brewers got named multiple awards for executive or baseball operations awards for him being named the guy of the year. And I kind of wonder, people have talked about this with maybe under Craig Counsell, Pat Murphy did a lot more than we thought. Did Matt Arnold do more under David Stearns than we initially thought, and maybe was a bigger part of those moves? And Stearns kind of just the guy who got a lot of credit. But this makes me wonder, again, obviously we don't know what else is up their sleeve, but those losses, they really need to make up for it somehow, because otherwise we're going to have a disappointed half of New York.
Yeah. Queens is not happy right now. And think of it, this was a team that was in the NLCS 2 seasons ago, 2024, really. But think of it, Steve Cohen is the richest owner in baseball. And he could afford literally anybody put together. Any big name free agent, he could afford it. So the fact that they were silent and they're just saving cash, they better be preparing for a big-time free agent to come over there. And we figured that, people like Kyle Schwarber didn't want to leave the Phillies. He stayed in Philly, by the way. But if your plan is to get Kyle Tucker or Cody Bellinger, you better act now. Because right now, Queens is not happy. Citi Field will probably be rioting if the Mets do indeed not make the playoffs and go below 500, especially for a team that just missed the playoffs last year. This was disappointing. And Kevin, I know one thing that you mentioned was that the Ed Crane pool rent by Dalla Greca reigns supreme, and it still does to this day. What is going on? What is Steve Cohen thinking, and why would he go cheap this route?
Mets, what happened? Seriously, because when I saw that Edwin Diaz went to the Dodgers, I was shocked. I mean, I don't know how you don't pay a guy like Edwin Diaz, who's literally the best closer in baseball, if arguably, and the fact that you only offered him $3 million less than the Dodgers is blasphemy to me, considering you do have the richest owner in baseball in Steve Cohen. And I wonder if Edwin Diaz just didn't want to be a Met anymore. I know there were some reports saying how he was got his feelings hurt because whenever the Mets signed Devin Williams for 3 years, $51 million, Steve Cohen or Dave Stearns didn't call him beforehand making that trade. So I don't know if that's true or not, or if he just really wanted to be a Dodger all along and just leave the Mets. I don't know. And then I'm like, okay, I can justify that if you go and get a reliever that's maybe not as good as him, but close to him, like a Robert Suarez. Well, come to find out today, Robert Suarez is an Atlanta Braves, so you swing and miss on him too. And then on top of that, just not even 24 hours after losing Edwin Diaz, you lose Pete Alonso, who is literally your franchise leader in home runs and the face of your franchise. How do you let that guy go? And the contract that he got offered by the Orioles, you're letting him go to the Orioles, a team that is in rebuild mode. And now with them adding Pete Alonso, I expect them to be a problem in our division. I'm just glad he didn't go to Boston. But if I'm Dave Stearns and Steve Cohen, I'm the same way with Lily. Where do you go from here? I mean, is the pivot Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker? I mean, who's going to be your first baseman? Paul Goldschmidt's available, but the first baseman market's very thin right now. Wilson Contreras, maybe. Reese Hoskins is a free agent too, so maybe an option there. But I look at this team right now, currently constructed, and if you don't make a big move soon, if you don't get a first baseman, if you don't get a true starter, if you want to go. For big, on Freddie Peralta, I heard Framber Valdez's name. Yeah. I heard obviously Tarek Skubal, whatever, what have you. But yeah, if I'm Dave Stearns, I'm on the hot seat right now. If I don't make a literally game-changing moves by getting all that. Like, the Mets are not going anywhere. I'm sorry. They're not just going to miss the playoffs. They're going to miss it by a mile because they missed it by the last game this past season. But
Yes.
this upcoming season, if they don't make moves like that, like, that's terrible. And obviously, like, I joke with Mets fans, even though I'm not one, but I just feel bad for like Mets fans, including our friend Jake Cardinale, because that's unacceptable. I just don't know where you go from here.
And one thing you mentioned, the Devin Williams signing, I honestly couldn't tell you why they went that route. Because Devin Williams was a problem for us. He was a problem in Milwaukee. Why would you bring him in? I mean, he did help the Mets win a playoff game. I'm not going to say why.
Inadvertently
Won them a playoff game.
Inadvertently.
But, like, Devin Williams is not ideal. Like, you lose your best reliever. You lose one of your best bats. Like, one of your big three bats. Lindor, Alonso, and Soto. You lose him? And I don't understand why this Mets have the notion, like, we can't keep people for their entire careers. Like, I can name, like, Mike Piazza. Darryl and Doc didn't really finish their careers. Like, really, other than David Wright, in recent years, no Met has stayed there for their entire career. And it's kind of astounding to me because this is an organization that wants to go big or go home. They're like the little brother of the Yankees, and I get it. But, like, this is not the way to go. This is not it. You need a franchise guy to carry you through 10, 15 years. And David Wright, I love him. He was a great player and a great figure for the team. But he didn't do much. So now I'm going to come to Alec on this one. We can harp on the Mets as much as we want, but I want to get into other signings that happened. We mentioned Robert Suarez going to the Braves. And then there were other contracts signings. Kyle Schwarber staying in Philadelphia. Kyle Schwarber staying in Philly, I think, had to be done. And from what I understand, the Pirates made him an offer, and it wasn't even close.
Let's be honest. Is anyone willing to sign a deal with the Pirates long term among high-profile free agents? I doubt that. Anyone that we signed is likely going to be trade fodder for the offseason. That said, Kyle Schwarber decided to stay in Philadelphia and made that clear. Both he and Philadelphia made it clear that he was the top priority. Now, Ranger Suarez is likely gone, but keeping Schwarber is a must for them. The Orioles matched the offer that the Phillies gave to him. So once Schwarber went back to Philadelphia, they turned to Pete Alonso as the plan B. Not a bad plan B, though. But if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, it's rare that David Dombrowski loses out on the player that he wants. And here, he got the player that he wanted back. One of the top home run hitters of his time.
Yeah, big time. Like, Schwarber was an easy second place in that NL MVP race, and he's the heart and soul of that Philly offense. And I think it was essential that you had to keep him. But it's not even just Ranger Suarez that's gone. You got to look at JT Realmuto as well, where he's going to move. Because Philly, their window might be closing a little bit because now you're going to start into the part where you have to pay some of your contributing players. We know Harper is probably going to most likely stay, but, you know, Nick Castellanos could potentially be on the move. JT Realmuto, Alec Boehm, among other players. Like, there's a lot of moving parts in Philadelphia. And for a team that was the 2 seed in the National League that lost to the Dodgers in the NLDS, there's a lot of questions and answers.
Maybe they call up some young guys like Otto Kemp and top prospect Justin Crawford if they're wanting to move on from some of the vets like Castellanos and Max Kepler.
Very true, very true. Like, it's amazing to me because the Phillies were in the World Series a few years ago, and now they're starting to get a good taste of reality of what it's like to be a contender. You got to keep your team intact, and this team has not done that so far. Like I said, there's pressing questions. Now, a big part of this offseason that really hasn't been answered yet is where Tarek Skubal is going to go, and I think I know who this is going to. Tarek Skubal is rumored to get traded because the Tigers are trying to figure out how they're going to pay the best pitcher in the sport. And the Dodgers have been linked to Tarek Skubal. Lord help us if he goes there. And Detroit, they were a team that put up a fight in the ALDS. They had a miracle wild card run the last 2 years. And they really have something going there. And it's such a shame if they let the best pitcher walk because, honestly, I look at the Tigers. They're almost like a 2-trick pony when it comes to their rotation. It's Skubal, bullpen game. Skubal, bullpen game for the most part, I would say. And to me, if Detroit loses Skubal, I think it's game over for Major League Baseball as we know it. And I'm going to come to the guy who said push grandmas down the stairs and get his thoughts on what could potentially happen to Tarek Skubal. Jake, if Tarek Skubal stays in Detroit, I think it'd be beneficial for Major League Baseball and for the Tigers, of course. But where do you think he could go realistically?
I want Pizza Boy to pay him. I think we can. I think that there is no excuse to not pay him. But if you're going to trade him, I would prefer he doesn't go to the Dodgers because the Dodgers are speed running a lockout right now. Basically, they're signing everybody. It's like, go to the Dodgers. It doesn't matter. Roster limits, anything like that is the only thing that could stop the Dodgers from getting the best players at this point because they can just sign anybody they want and defer their contracts to, next century. So if Tarek Skubal goes to the Dodgers, I will be mad. The Dodgers would have to give up, Shohei Ohtani for me to be even remotely happy with a Tarek Skubal trade there. I'd be fine if they traded him to the Mets and give me Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor. It would be nice if they also still had Edwin Diaz to trade, but I guess not. He's Los Angeles. And really anywhere else in the MLB, if you are willing to give me your top 2-3 guys, yeah, do that. Realistically, though, this is a cheap team that's not going to want to pay anyone top dollar. So I feel like we are in a position where it's going to be like we get someone else's top 3 prospects and have to just live with that. And then all of a sudden our team gets exposed because our pitching is not great. Okay, outside of Tarek Skubal, our pitching is up and down. It's so. It's hot and cold. And what's great with Skubal is that he's always been a reliable guy. I think this season was more successful all the way through. We'd be having a totally different conversation of how many years do you want to keep Skubal for? Because we started out top of the league.
Yes.
We finished squeaking into the playoffs. If we don't do that, Skubals would be willing to sign here for less and win a World Series. But we're not doing that. We're still a young team. We're still developing a lot of guys. And unfortunately, we're so hot and cold that I think without Skubal, the Tigers are cooked. And Skubal's going to likely just go to where he can easily win. And unfortunately, I fear that might be the Dodgers.
And, you mentioned the deferred payments. Edwin Diaz's contract was partially deferred. Again, with the deferred payments and why that could be such a game changer for them, which apparently is legal. But I want to rant about that. I've had enough with the Dodgers at this point. But it's just like it'd be unfair. And Detroit is putting something good together. Fans are coming back to the ballpark. It's not even just Skubal. Like they did make a good signing somewhat, and when they signed Gleyber Torres, like this team has good potential to do great. And I'll never forget that series against Seattle where they fought tooth and nail through 15 innings and just came up short. But they need to put the hammer down if they're really going to make an impact in the American League. And like you said, they have like a 10-game lead in early August?
It was more than that. I think
it was like 15.
At some point we had a
14,
lead of
15
games.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Completely choked away. And that just can't happen. I think that exposed like this is a fluky team as it is right now. If we can't develop our guys, we're going to stay like that. But now without a good pitcher, we're not going to stay a contender for the reasonable future.
Yeah, 100%. Like you need to keep your team intact. And I think the Tigers are a team that a lot of people look at as maybe someone that can make a splash in the American League. And I want to see them thrive. And I would hate for them to lose any progress by getting rid of the back-to-back defending AL Cy Young Award winner. It'd be detrimental. But in other news with Major League Baseball, we're going to get into the Contemporary Baseball Committee Hall of Fame ballot. Because only one person got into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Mr. Jeff Kent, 5-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, and 2000 NL MVP, Giants Hall of Famer. He got in with 14 out of 16 votes. As for the others who were on the ballot that didn't get in, Don Mattingly, I think, came the closest. He got 6 out of the 12 votes he needed. You need to get 12 of 16 to get in the Hall of Fame, 75%. But for steroid users like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, they all didn't even come remotely close to getting what they needed. And I know, like, this contemporary ballot was almost like a last-ditch effort to get guys like Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So now it's where do you go from here with the steroid users? And the question of integrity comes into play. Because while the steroid era did save baseball in 98 when fans left in 94 because of the strike, now it looks like they're being punished for it. If you've ever seen Long Gone Summer, that's a big example of what's going on. And one of those people, like I mentioned, Sammy Sosa took roids, and I'm saying next to someone who's from Chicago right now, so this is a perfect question to ask. When it comes to the steroid users in baseball, why are they being punished? And do you think we'll ever see them in there if they're posthumous, or do you think that there's going to keep creating ways to get them in there?
I think it's exactly what you just said. I think so. Pete Rose, following his death, Manfred mentioned that he will be eligible, I think, for the Classic Era Committee Hall of Fame ballot in 2027.
Yes.
I think that alone set the precedent. I think that is the only way we are going to see anybody with any type of controversy or like significant controversy like that. So I think something similar will be the case for Barry Bonds, likely for Sammy Sosa. And, again, it's a really difficult spot. I feel like that's something that we've all talked about ad nauseum of they made a huge impact on the game. That is so undeniable. I think that there should be some way of kind of reinventing the wheel there with the Hall of Fame of saying, let's in some way recognize, hey, we do not approve of these actions, but the impact this person had on the game is undeniable. We can't tell the story of baseball without them being part of it.
Bingo.
And again, I look about that. I think I've mentioned this analogy before of sometimes with controversial figures in art, in retrospectives or exhibitions, they mentioned who this person is, what their backstory is. Like Pablo Picasso was a controversial figure, and we're going to talk about that, but still talk about the impact he had with the Cubism movement.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a little derailed there, but it's things like that where you can't really deny that impact and what effect they had in the game. But with what they did for Pete Rose, I just think that is Manfred saying, hey, I acknowledge this. I'm taking note of this. Here's the path. And it sucks because those guys won't get to actually see, themselves being honored likely. It'll all be after death. But I think that's just the only way it happens. And, you have to look then to somebody like Sammy Sosa, where he just kind of repaired his relationship with the Cubs over last year and now has been honored with their Hall of Fame or like their Wall of Fame. And I think you kind of have to just go, let me just enjoy it with the team or like my team that I spent the most time with, where I was, and take that as you can. And you might not see yourself actually get in the Hall of Fame, like the Major League Hall of Fame, but you kind of take what you can in terms of how you're being honored because it's complicated. And I think at least the good thing that's come of it is these individuals, who are leading these organizations, are starting to at least recognize that it is complicated and there is a little bit more that they should do with it. But I don't think it's ever going to be. They have to have their standard somewhere.
Right.
They have to have some point to base everything off of. And I do think that we will just see these all be like posthumous honorings.
Yeah, it's honestly cruel. But the one thing I want to ask Kevin, and Kevin might know the answer to this question. David Ortiz took PEDs, technically, correct?
Technically, yeah.
He technically did. So, like, that, I don't get that. That's a weird thing to me. But one thing you also got to realize is that a lot of these people, like, you don't even know who took steroids. Like, there were probably so many people who were taking PEDs back in the day. We don't even know, like, we know the main people, like, obviously Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, like, A-Rod. Like, we know the main people who were behind it. But we don't even know, like, if everyone took it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it makes you better. It gives you more power to hit the ball. It makes you see better. But it's just like, it's weird because, like I said, more people took it than we think. But why are these guys getting punished? And we don't even do a deep dive into everything. I gotta ask you that question, Kev. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's such a like gray area, I guess, in a sense, because like you're right. Like, for all we know, like other guys could have used it, and we never even know. It's just that we put those kind of guys like, Bonds, Clemens, and all those guys on a pedestal of guys who have used and are like now being praised for it, as opposed to like, let's not put him in because he used all that stuff. And then to what Lily said about like the Pete Rose thing about how like now guys like that are eligible, but only after they die. It's like it's a weird situation because at one hand, like I respect Manfred for finally being willing to like put those guys in the hall, but the same token, only having it after they die, I think is very disrespectful to those players. Because yes, even though they did use and I guess the integrity is like lost with some people. Obviously, more so we know that now with like the way that this committee has voted. It clearly they hated roid users more than like just common fans do. That's clearly what's in play here. But yeah, it's a very precarious situation, and I just don't know if how you would really tackle it. I don't know if you need to have like a separate thing for it, like a separate voting process just for like roid users. Because I feel like, as Lily said, I feel like you kind of take your what's it called, your tributes and your like gratitude towards the team of like how someone celebrates you like any way you can. So yeah,
it's just disrespectful, and it just seems cruel to put someone in posthumously to any Hall of Fame. Now the WWE Hall of Fame does that with a lot of their old school wrestlers well after they die, but again, like it just doesn't seem right because their relatives can't see their son or their father or whatever get immortalized into their craft. That's what really kills me about this. And I know Alec criticized when Pete Rose got in because it's just not right. Like Pete Rose, as great as controversial as he is with the gambling, was baseball's all-time leading hitter, and his family did not like the fact that he got the call when he's dead. And I know that this also speaks volumes. It's like, oh, so we helped save the game of baseball, but yet we have to wait till we're gone to get immortalized and recognized and acknowledged. Doesn't seem right to me, Alec.
It doesn't. When people think of baseball, people think of Barry Bonds. He and Jeff Kent were teammates back in the year 2000 when Kent won the NL MVP. Bonds is the all-time home run hitter all time, 762. I know Jeff Kent, all-time home run hitter among second basemen. But people think of Bonds when it comes to baseball, regardless of whether he took steroids or not. He has to get into the Hall of Fame. If he doesn't, there are no excuses.
And I think one thing that Lily hit on was, can you tell the story of our league with this player? You can't tell the story of Major League Baseball without mentioning 1998, when both Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were chasing Roger Maris's home run record. And the Maris family did not like it when they found out that McGwire and Sosa were popping on steroids, but it brought fans back. I don't know if any of you saw Long Gone Summer, the E60 on ESPN, but it was a story. It was a good documentary, as we got another person in here, a pioneer of his own right, John Welch. So now everyone
what's
who's
happening,
in here,
family? What's going on?
we're doing great,
Not much.
John.
Lily has tilted her head twice since I've been here.
Hey, glad to see you on.
Glad to see you too. Number one.
Number one in our hearts.
Number one in our
For
hearts. For now. So
Anything can happen.
Oh, I can't wait for the fantasy playoffs when we get into fantasy talk. So we just wrapped up Major League Baseball. But now since John is here, this is the perfect time to transition into something that I know John's going to love to talk about. That's college football. So for those of you who watched ESPN on Sunday, you would know that the 12-team college football playoff field has been announced. If you want to know the field again, here it is. Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas Tech are the top four. And then 5 through 12 are as follows. Oregon, Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin. 7, Texas A&M. 8, Oklahoma. 9, Alabama. 10, Miami, who got the switch over Notre Dame at the very last minute. It was such a strange thing. And then 11, Tulane of the AAC. And then James Madison University, the Dukes of the Sun Belt, are the 12 teams in the playoff. Now, if you've seen the spread for these, they're pretty big. Although the Alabama-Oklahoma game is, I think it's like a 1.5 point spread, I think, in favor of Alabama. I think they're probably thinking that Tyson is going to turn things around. Although Alabama did not look good in the SEC championship game. And then Miami over Notre Dame. how do I put this? It's such a weird topic of discussion because Notre Dame was ahead of Miami the entire time, heading into the final ranking show. And then at the 11th hour, the committee, who said they had the most difficult decision in the history of the playoff, made the switch last minute and put Miami in. Meanwhile, if you look at the metrics, Notre Dame's ahead of Miami by a little bit in every particular category, including strength of record, strength of schedule, FPI. But yet Notre Dame's sitting on their couch watching this. And ever since that, Notre Dame has bowed out of a couple bowl games and have also disputed against the commissioner of the ACC after the ACC network replayed the Miami Notre Dame game from week 1 of this year. And now the AD of Notre Dame is throwing a hissy fit. It's just a really big mess right now when it comes to Notre Dame athletics. Do I blame them for getting mad? Not really. I understand like why they're petty, but I think like if you're ahead of Miami in every single metric, you deserve to be in the playoff. But I guess head-to-head was, I think, the main factor there. And sometimes the committee goes with head-to-head 9 times out of 10. And I think that's what happened here. I got to come to John here. So with Notre Dame's exclusion, are you surprised by this, that they switched it so quickly, impromptu? Like, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, as far as the Notre Dame decision goes, I 100% agree with that because of the head-to-head. You look at the brackets by which they judged every team that they put through, the only one that's confusing to me is Bama, probably. But the committee got it right when it came to putting in Miami and leaving out Notre Dame. You can be Tom and Richard Petty as much as you want, and your punishment is going to be what's happening right now with the trickle-down effect of every other athletic director getting ready to freeze out your team on future schedules because of the guarantee that you're in at number 12.
And another thing that really stands out to me is that like Notre Dame's going after the ACC for this. And if you're looking at conferences like the SEC or the Big Ten who could potentially cash in, Al, because I got to see the hand gesture, Al. What's going on?
I got to say, why? You're just burning bridges right now. The response that Notre Dame had when they were left out the college football playoff is basically the equivalent of being a spoiled child. Like, why are you complaining when the decision was based on head-to-head? I'm not surprised that Miami got put in after Duke upset Virginia in the ACC championship because Miami's fate, not Notre Dame's, relies on Duke upsetting Virginia. If Virginia won, they would get in. If Duke won, Miami would have gotten in. Now, I agree with John on one point. The confusing decision was Alabama over BYU, but given that BYU was the alternative, it's a 50-50. It's the line is night and day. It's the difference is night and day. But Notre Dame, they threw a hissy fit to the point where they opted out of bowl games and they got schools to threaten to freeze them on the schedule for that hissy fit. And honestly, this reaction from them. Why are you doing this? The reality of the situation is that Notre Dame is living in the past. They're thinking that they can play by the old rules, not align themselves with a conference, refusing to join the ACC or the Big Ten. And the moment in which reality catches up to them, they complain as if the world revolves all around them. The CFP was in the right to exclude them. It's not come one, come all. You have to fight for one of the 12 spots. Notre Dame made their own bed early in their season when they lost not only to Miami, but also Texas A&M. Yeah. They did this to themselves.
Matt,
yeah.
Let me finish my thought and simplify it real quick for you.
Sure.
If they joined a conference, if they were in the ACC in 2025, they would have beat Virginia and would have been in, and none of this would have been a talking point.
Thank you.
True.
I agree 100%.
Also, if they beat Miami, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Or how about they beat anyone in general? Who did they beat? Who did they beat that would put them worthy of being in the college football playoff?
They beat Boston College. Really the only good win that
Are we going to say that that's enough for the college football playoff? Are we saying that beating Boston College?
Boston College.
They beat Boston
I can tell
College.
you another team that beat Boston College. I can tell you another team that beat Boston College.
Matt, their strength of schedule is worse than BYU, it's worse than Texas, and it's worse than Vandy. All three of those teams should have got in ahead of Notre Dame. All four of those teams were left out.
And they didn't even get a second consideration. Once we got to conference championship weekend, all those teams that you mentioned, Vandy and Texas and BYU, they were done beforehand. BYU did get a second chance in the Big 12 championship game, but they stood no chance against Texas Tech. But again, that just goes to show you, like, the resume speaks for itself. Notre Dame, yes, they lost their first 2 games by a combined 4 points, but Purdue was a 2-win football team. Boston College was a 1-win football team. Navy runs the ball, and they're not prolific. Yes, they're great in the AAC, but they're not that good. Really, the only game that they actually won that I can give them a thumbs up to was the USC game, which is a big rivalry game for them. But again,
6-7. 6-7.
No.
Well,
Please
John,
don't
I
do it.
already fell for that trap, so you can't do this.
No. Please, no.
Oh, I
Anyway.
can't escape that in my house.
Well.
I thought we were past this.
That's what I thought.
Who's
One.
we?
Oh, Lonzo Ball, I hate you so much. Anyway, but like, Kev, I want to come to you. When it comes to this, like you mentioned Notre Dame, losing their first 2 games, but like, why can't they just join a conference? Like, I get it, the Rudy movie and the prestige of the program in the past and what they were. Like John mentioned, they're living in the past. Why can't they just join a conference and in a crowd that's specialized on tradition, that's breaking tradition, why can't they just break a tradition themselves? Because they did join the ACC during the COVID year. Why couldn't they just stay there?
Yeah, again, I have no clue. Your guess is as good as mine. I think Notre Dame definitely needs to join a conference. But also back to like the playoffs and what John mentioned, like all those teams, I think that definitely should have got a shot. Like Vanderbilt, I thought it had a terrific season. I thought they should at least get a shot in. I think what they need to do, I'm glad that they fixed the format to where they allow 12 teams instead of the 4, because I think that needed to happen. I wouldn't be surprised that after all this like outrage, if they extended to like 16 teams in the near future,
That could happen.
or if they just change the structure of how they do seating. Because I think like I think what's it called? John sent us a video in our chat of how John Gruden would propose like how he would do seating, kind of like a play-in tournament, a la like the NBA, where you have like these 2 teams, and then like say you have like North Texas versus this team, and like if North Texas wins, they're in, but like if the higher seed wins, stuff like that. I feel like that's more interesting, and it would lead to like better results. And like, okay, if this team if you think you're as good as you say you are, try to beat this high ranked team, and if you can do it, you're in. Because I think North Texas, I think anyone is looking at them because I think they play fantastic this season, along with teams like Vanderbilt, and I think those teams should be in. But I agree, like Notre Dame, I think joining a conference might have helped their case. I don't know if the committee had was deciding based off of that, but I couldn't understand why they were left out. But at the same time, I don't blame Notre Dame for like being so mad as to be bowing out of bowl games, because right now I think it's a little bit flawed for like those last 4 teams that get in, because most of the part the field is already set, but I can definitely see they can implement it more in the future.
They absolutely could expand on this. And one thing that I want to touch back on that Alec mentioned, if Virginia had beaten Duke, Notre Dame would have been in. That's a really, I don't know what to say about that, because the ACC was bad. Yes, Virginia was the best team in the ACC. They lost to the 6th best team in the ACC in Duke, because if you looked at the standings prior to the ACC championship game, Duke was 6th in the standings, but they got in the championship game because of tiebreakers. So let me ask you a question, Alec. If Virginia did win, why would that put Notre Dame in?
Oh, I didn't say that. I said if Virginia won, they would have been. No, Virginia themselves would have
Oh,
been
okay,
in.
okay, my bad.
Just to clarify that.
That's fine. That's fine. Honestly, if Virginia had won the ACC championship game, we probably wouldn't have even seen James Madison get in there. As much as I've criticized the ACC, if Virginia was a better conference champion, they would have been a better conference champion than James Madison was. James Madison, who John said was not a playoff team from the get-go, they honestly got lucky the fact that Duke beat Virginia the way they did.
Which I called.
You did call it. You did call it. I wish I had the screenshot of that.
North Carolina represent.
Yes.
It's over in the betting on Patrick Rush's Discord.
Patrick Rush, a good friend of ours. But anyway, I want to get into one more story, and then we'll predict the college football playoff field. Jake put this in the chat for this episode, and I thought this was a really good idea. Sharon Moore of Michigan was fired after 2 years in Michigan. And this all happened in relation to the Connor Stallion sign stealing scandal that was played by the Jim Harbaugh tenure there. And I can tell you right now, there were rumors that Sharon Moore knew what was going on and that he played a hefty part in this. And now he's gone. I don't know where Michigan's going to go as far as their next head coach, but I think this is a big dark cloud over the Wolverines program right now. I don't know if anyone wants that job. Jake, please explain what your thoughts on with Sharon Moore getting the boot in Ann Arbor.
All right, so Michigan fans wanted Sharon Moore gone because he's not been a great head coach, right? But then it turns out that this guy had been having inappropriate relations with a staff member on Michigan. And that completely shocks me. Then it comes out that later that night, after they're coming to fire him, he's arrested. He's basically thrown his life away. This guy with a loving wife and 3 kids, by the way. Just wanted to point that out. Comes out here and is doing all this stuff, gave this staff member $1 million raises, multiple millions of dollars, actually. And so now he's fired. He's gone off the rails. He's in jail. And at this point, I think that completely cooked Michigan. It got their AD fired.
Yep.
Sharon Moore, I'm not going to get into too much of detail because it's honestly kind of disturbing, but he's basically done for. And, at first it's funny to be like, yeah, Michigan loses their coach, but at some point you do have to worry about this dude's life. But in terms of where they're going to go next, I really don't know. I've heard people saying, hey, get Kalen DeBoer. I don't know how you're going to get Kalen DeBoer out of Alabama. He's actively under contract, but I guess contracts don't matter in college football anymore. And this happened just after signing day for Michigan. So I'm thinking, how many of those recruits just got lied to?
Oh, yeah.
So Bryce Underwood is being actively recruited by LSU to go to LSU, which is like, I don't know why he'd go to LSU.
Lane Kiffin.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Bryce Underwood has his NIL check with Michigan guaranteed. I don't think after his performance this year that you can justify giving him more at LSU than what he got in Michigan.
Wow.
But either way, I don't know where Michigan will go. But it makes me very happy to see them without a coach and to see someone get fired for a cheating scandal at Michigan, even if it is him cheating on his wife. And also, Michigan fans, I never want to hear about Mel Tucker anymore after this. Never bring him up again to me.
I think one thing that Jake mentioned when it comes to the Sharon Moore thing, there has to be some sort of a human factor when it comes to these coach firings, but there's not really any sort of positivity you can take away from a guy who's cheating on his wife with a staff member. It screams Coldplay concert all over again.
I do want to bring up the thing to worry about is the reason why he got arrested.
What?
He broke into that staff member's home and was threatening to off himself. It was crazy to see. So, like, at that point, yeah, that's terrible. And I hope the man recovers in his mental health situation.
Yeah.
That's actually why the AD got fired, because the AD knew that he was having a mental health crisis, knowing that he was very much on the hot seat, knowing that he was very likely to get fired after someone found out about his relationship with the staff member.
Disgusting.
And the AD didn't give him like the reasonable like HR or whatever to like, he just cold fired him. So now the AD's fired because of that. And that whole situation is like, whoa, yikes.
Yikes. That's about as disgusting as it gets. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Just be faithful in your marriage, people. I'm not married yet, but you gotta be faithful in your relationships and stuff. Please be. I'm just appalled. And honestly, that whole Jim Harbaugh coaching staff is flawed. It was flawed from the beginning. Yeah, they won a national title, but you can see the cracks after Harbaugh left. What Michigan was working with.
Why do you think he left?
Because he knew he was toast. He was toast. That's crazy. All this.
I mean, this is way deeper than than everything that Jake just said. I mean, there was a 2-month investigation where both people involved in this relationship denied to the nth degree that anything was going on. And then he did something that actually pissed her off, where she marches straight into the top floor of Michigan and gives them whatever receipts that she had on this relationship. And that's what fired him. And then he got arrested because he showed up at her house with a knife.
Bad.
What are you
I
doing?
mean, as far as I mean, Michigan is really, 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 really close to the death penalty as far as I'm
Oh,
concerned.
big time. This is almost like Jerry Sandusky level of bad from Penn State. It's
Those-
almost that bad.
Those in Central PA know, and don't remind them of that because because I know that hiring process was messy as hell, and it's going to be similarly such for Michigan. This has jumped to the top for messiest hiring processes of this course between LSU, Ole Miss, and Penn State. Michigan just took the cake.
Yeah.
Most of the coaching decisions have already been decided.
Yeah. I don't even know if Brian Kelly would even want to go there. I know he might want a shot at coaching another program. I don't know if Michigan would be his place to go to. And if he does take the job at Michigan, he's got a lot to work with.
Good luck.
Good luck is right. All right. Before we get into the DAS ad, I did say I wanted to go over the college football playoff bracket and make our picks for who's going to win the national title. And if you saw what I said on Jake Cardinelli's show yesterday, by the way, Jake Cardinelli is a wonderful, wonderful person and has a great show. Check him out on Twitter. But this is the bracket. I want to get everyone's thoughts on who could win the national title at this point. Looking at this bracket, I'm going to start with John. What do you like so far?
So the underdog, the dark horse for me is Texas Tech, 100%. And the interesting thing is the track record, because you have the track record of Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon all being in the playoff for as long as we've had this new modern era of the college playoff. And they're thumbing their noses at the SEC over that right now, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, the Final Four is going to be Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, and probably Texas Tech. At least that would be where I would go.
One thing you mentioned, you've been hyping up Texas Tech for a long time. And you know what? I like Texas Tech to win the Natty. That was my underdog pick to win the Natty. And there's a reason why. Their defense is unlike anything I've seen in college. And Jacob Rodriguez, their star linebacker, is going to be most likely be a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. But I saw the Big 12 championship game against BYU, and they suffocated them. BYU scored their opening drive touchdown, did not get in the end zone or kick field goals after that. It was a defensive masterclass. And I know Ohio State has the best defense in league as far as statistics go, but I think Texas Tech would probably put up a better defensive gem than Ohio State could. And if it was those two meeting, it would be a massive bet the under because defense wins championships, and Texas Tech has it. Lily, I'm going to come to you. I feel that you haven't spoken in a while, but what do you like so far about the bracket?
So I do not watch college football. That is a thing I will be fully transparent about. However, I do know a ton of people who are huge Indiana fans, big old Hoosiers, as well as Ohio State fan and alumni in my family. So that being said, I will go full in for just my family. I'd be happy to see Ohio State win, but aside from that, I'm also into just whatever makes for good content, whatever's good television, good games. But that's where my heart is in terms of that. But I'm not I'll watch it if it's on. I do not follow. I can't tell you much about it other than knowing generally that this season Indiana's been good.
Yeah.
Ohio State's been good. And that's about where I'm at with things.
Right. All right. Kev, I'm going to come to you. Where do you like?
Well, you know what? I wouldn't be shocked if we got a rematch of Indiana against Ohio State for the national championship. I think that would be
Possible.
awesome. I think that would be great because I thought that game that proved to me that Indiana is like, for real and that they're legit contenders this year. I also could see Miami possibly upsetting A&M because I've said it, like me and John have said it, that like we both picked Miami to win it all. I have changed my mind, and I think that Indiana's gonna win it all. But I wouldn't be surprised if Miami makes a little bit of a run there. But I would love to see a rematch of Indiana Ohio State.
It was really competitive, and I was really happy for Indiana. One thing that I didn't mention was Indiana won their first Big Ten championship in 58 years. They haven't won a Big Ten championship game since 1967. And Kurt Signetti, give him all the roses you want because this man turned around the culture. Like, if you looked at Indiana football 2 years ago, it was in the bowels of despair 2 years ago. And Kurt Signetti turned that around just like that. And I like where this team is going. I want to see them win, but I just think Texas Tech's the best overall team so far in this 12-team field. Alec, I'm going to get rid of this so I can uncover your face. Where do you like about the playoff? Where would you lean?
Did you really have to Mike Wazowski, Jake, and I? Well, in terms of who I am picking for the college football playoff title, I think it's going to come down to between Indiana, Ohio State, or Texas Tech. I don't think Georgia is good, but I don't think they're good enough to win in the whole thing. They are mean, but they are susceptible to the big play against. And whenever they're tested by elite offenses, that's when the cracks start to rain down. Texas Tech's defense can test any other team, and that includes Indiana. I feel that if there's going to be a team that's going to win it all, it's going to be a team that has elite quarterback play. Though elite these days in college football isn't really saying much. That said, I'm going with the Hoosiers the whole way. That Big Ten championship is not just a statement. It's not just a revelation. I think it's a sign of things to come over in Indiana.
I'm not mad about that at all. Jake, where would you lean with this?
All right. Give me the Hoosiers. Come on, man. I did not think they were the real deal until I saw that Big Ten championship game. I thought by far and away Ohio State, that was the best team in college football. They should have been ranked number one all year long. And guess what? Indiana knocked them off. I don't see a world in which Indiana gets stopped by Texas Tech. They're just too good of a team. I think Indiana will probably be playing Oklahoma because Alabama doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs and Oklahoma does. Texas Tech will ride in against Oregon. Oregon's going to ride in against JMU, then get smacked by Texas Tech, the better team. Ohio State's going to have a dogfight with A&M. I think Ohio State wins that one. And Georgia's going to be in a fight with Ole Miss. I think Georgia wins that one. Then, Indiana's going to take care of business. Ohio State's going to take care of business. It's going to be a big rematch. And even though it's hard to beat a team twice, Indiana is just way better, I think, than Ohio State is.
I like that. Listen, I can't go wrong with Indiana. I just like the way Texas Tech is playing right now, who has the hot hand. Now, keep in mind, Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas Tech will all have byes, and they will not get home playoff games. They'll be playing in bowl games. That's something I also want you to keep in mind. So, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma are all getting home games for this first round of the playoff, and then Bowl Mania, and that's how it will finish off. And I think that no matter what happens, I think the committee, they said they made the most difficult decision in the history of the playoff. I think if it really was that difficult, they better hope that this pays off and we get one of the most exciting playoffs ever. And it'll be fun to watch, that's for sure. But you want to believe more fun? Not any playoffs. The best playoffs ever. I'm talking about the Foursquare Fantasy 2025 playoffs.
Let's go.
That playoff will be way more exciting than any other playoff on television, and you can bet on that. So
Guaranteed.
Like I said, I probably should have put the graphic on this. I probably should have screenshot it. The standings, there were 3 ties amongst 8 people. Myself, Alec, John, and Lily all finished with a 9-5 record. Kevin and Jake finished with a 7-7 record, and then Ritos and Sammy, who are not here, finished 3-11. So the standings as it goes right now, it's all the tiebreakers were points scored total. So John's 1, Lily's 2, I'm 3, Alec is 4, Kevin's 5, Jake's 6, Sammy is 7, and then Ritos is 8. And I'm looking at my fantasy opponent this week right on the bottom middle of the screen. And he knows who he is. He knows. And Alex looking at his fantasy opponent, he's right next to him.
Other
You're
way,
looking the
Kev.
wrong way, Kevin.
Other way, Kev.
Other side,
Well,
Kev.
on my screen, you're to my left. So this way. You're the
Oh my
opposite way.
goodness. Wrong.
Here's the story
this
of
is gonna
Kevin
be very
Green. He
Look
can't
that
look the right way
look
to
that way.
save his life.
Kevin, look that way again. Nope. There you go. There you go.
There we go.
This
On mine, it's the opposite way. So
this feels like the Brady Bunch.
Almost. It almost feels like that. You know, one thing I forgot to mention, if you saw what I put on Instagram today, I'm the 3 seed in 3 fantasy leagues that I'm in. And in every single one of those playoff leagues, I'm playing against Jahmyr Gibbs. As you can imagine, I'm scared. Because Jahmyr Gibbs has been hot as of late.
Mm-hmm.
Like red hot. Look at that smile on his face.
Yeah, but they're playing against the Rams. I wouldn't be that scared.
Hey, listen, anything can happen in fantasies. So, as far as Lily and John, Lily has got Bama Girl underdog, Sammy, and then John has got Ritos. And if you want the spreads, 3 of the 4 matchups are projected to be close. Lily's a 9-point favorite over Sammy. I'm a 3-point favorite over Jake. And then Kevin, Alec, it's a toss-up. It's literally a pure toss-up. And then John's a 24.5-point favorite over Ritos.
Pray for Ritos.
I feel bad for that poor guy.
I don't.
You don't. Damn.
Oh, you masochist, John.
But anyway, we're going to cross this bridge. And remember, the person who wins the fantasy league will win $200 and a really nice, if I do say so myself, nice looking fantasy football trophy. It was in the chat. I'm going to try and find it right now. It's a really good looking trophy. Now, the way the trophy looks, there's 8 little plaques on the side. Instead of year by year winner, it will be placement. So if it says firmly grasp at first place, greener gridiron second place, Love Shack third place, Blue Blurs fourth place, and so on, that's how it will be. Although Ritos told me point blank, please don't put my last place finish on the trophy.
So
I have a bone to pick with you, Matt. You're already trying to change the rules for next year because of your standings. And my bone to pick with you is just score more points.
Watch what happens when we meet in the championship, John.
Whoa.
I'm calling my shot right
You
now.
gotta
on this
get
thing.
past me first, buddy.
I'm confident.
Motor City Kitty
but-
Nation, rise up. Come on.
That's the spirit, Jake.
Bring it on, boy. I'm a former fantasy. Actually, I'll show you why I'm going to win. This is my experience. I play big in big time situations. This is my Serie A Set Sports Fantasy Trophy from 2022.
Did you change the rules in that league too?
No. It was integrity. Fair the entire way. I even have a Talercio's Italia thing on the trophy. I don't know why I have it, but
That's awesome, though.
Authenticated or something.
authenticated. Vindicated. That's what it is. But I feel good about my chances. But honestly, best of luck to everybody. And I feel bad for Ritos and Sammy not being here. But again, I've never been in a fantasy league where literally every one of us were tied or close in some way, shape, or form. And the fact that like half the league is 9-5 and number one in the league as far as record goes is actually kind of astounding.
Well, and the fact that almost everything came down to Monday night, that it was all down to the wire of figuring out where things were going to sit and if we even were going to deal with that type of tie. That was also, again, it's crazy to be, watching a game and then that goes to OT while also being probably more stressed about the implications it has on our fantasy league.
True, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, I was more worried about fantasy implications more than Monday Night Football, if anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly,
When your quarterback is the first player in history to have two turnovers in one play,
Don't.
Oh
Why
my
not pick up Jordan Love, as your team's called the Love Shack?
He might make his addition back to the team is being heavily debated, unfortunately.
I don't know why somebody let go Justin Jefferson. I picked him up.
Oh yeah,
I
Sam.
did. Or Sammy did.
You
I
cannot
traded
trust
her,
9.
yeah.
You cannot trust 9 at all.
You can't.
No.
That's why I traded him. You can't trust him. Trust me, I know. Kevin O'Connell's a terrorist.
A fantasy terrorist.
Yes.
All right. On to break, I guess.
On to break. Let's settle down a little bit. So
Only the people that can't turn the right way for their screen.
Anyway, Foursquare Sports is brought to you in part by DAS Technology Consulting. DAS Technology Consulting brings you all the best third-party maintenance and hardware, OEM software updates, and information technology that you need for your IT infrastructure needs. And if you want to learn more, here's the chief sales officer of the company, Darren Sirianni. Take a listen.
Our approach at DAS Technology is simple. At DAS Technology, we offer a very unique approach by providing our clients a single point of contact for all their mission-critical data center demands. DAS Technology Consulting is a global leader in data center services, specializing in delivering cutting-edge, best-of-breed enterprise solutions. With a focus on innovation and reliability, DAS provides worldwide storage, server, and networking solutions that are tailored to meet the evolving demands of the modern data-driven world.
Again, thank you, DAS Technology Consulting, for everything that you do to keep the show afloat, and we also love the fact that you sponsor. Anyway, on to our number 2. We got a lot of NFL. We got fresh spreads. We got fresh Founder Fried. John's all over fresh Founder Fried. And we're also going to go over the NFL playoff race at this point in time, what looks interesting. And also, I think we have a grandpa coming into the NFL now. You'll know who that is in a little bit. Anyway, Matt Sirianni, John Welch, Alec Knopf, Gonzalez Hollis, Lily Schumacher, Jake Hauger. For our number 2, let's get right into it. So we're going to go to the NFL. And for those of you who want to know what I meant by when I said grandpa, so Daniel Jones against the Jacksonville Jaguars hurt his Achilles and is done for the year on a non-contact injury. He just went down and just couldn't move. And then Riley Leonard broke his leg. The Colts backup quarterback broke his leg in that game, and he's out. So what did the Indianapolis Colts decide to do?
Not call Cam.
What did they do?
Not call Cam.
They did not call Cam Newton.
Not call Cam.
They did not call Clayton Tune. They did not call Tyler Heineke. They did not call a 25, 30-year-old journeyman. They called in 44-year-old NFL quarterback and possibly Hall of Famer Phillip Rivers, who was part of the Colts in 2020 during the COVID season, which was the last time the Indianapolis Colts were part in the playoffs. Phillip Rivers is 44 years old and apparently has 9 children, but apparently he's putting that aside.
10 children.
10 children?
Yeah.
10 kids, yep.
Yep.
Wow. I never thought I'd see a guy.
He just finished up high school coaching. Now he can go back and pad up and, you know what? Dadgummit.
Dadgummit.
As soon as he retires again, his oldest son will be eligible for the NFL.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so Phillip Rivers is 44. I don't know what this means for his Hall of Fame eligibility implications, whether or not if he retires immediately after this. But I do know that he's most likely going to start against the Seattle Seahawks this week. That might not go as smooth as planned because even though they love the workout that that Phil Rivers went through for the Colts, 44. I mean, age is just a number. The last time we saw a 44-year-old QB play, it was only a couple years ago when Tom Brady was 44 played. That went poorly. But this is a different story. So, Lil, I got to ask you, why this? Why couldn't they go younger? Why did they go with Philip Rivers?
So I've seen some people talking about, specifically the commentary I had been reading the most about was talking about with why didn't they call Cam? And was saying that he is a quarterback that has, succeeds when he has time in the pocket. He is just that. I mean, which again goes for a lot of quarterbacks, but obviously at his age, he's somebody that as long as he's protected, there's still a chance he can, I guess, ball out a little bit versus having somebody like him who, is a little bit more reliant on his movement and what he's doing versus just sitting there in the pocket, throw or hand it to your running back, end of what you're up to. And I think it's somebody where they're comfortable with him personally. They like that they know what they're getting out of him.
Yeah.
And obviously the age is a big question, but it feels like something where they are all sitting down. Somebody kind of went, well, we could just bring back Philip Rivers kind of as a joke. And then somebody went, no, say that again.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Like bring back Philip Rivers? And like, yes, that's it. That's the answer we've been looking for. And again, if he feels good, I guess why not? Why not give it a go? If it all is lost and it's the worst game we've ever seen, maybe they still have a chance to try to figure out another option. But I guess they're kind of looking at it as, if this works, it's going to work well. He can kind of get another chance of, Lord, maybe winning a Super Bowl with them and, letting them take it all the way. And I guess I think instead of just trying to find maybe somebody who has just been out of the league for a little bit, and I don't know, I feel like the way that he's looking at it is probably more to help the team than anything else versus somebody who's looking to find their own redemption arc and their possibility of like getting back in and showing them what they're made of. I don't think he's thinking about it like that. And I'm sure that was also an appealing factor, but it's something where I really did think it might have been an Onion article when it popped up or was trending on Twitter, only to really see a video of him throwing and being like, all right, I guess that's what it is, but I'm going to go all the way down with familiarity. And again, that he's not really probably trying to be the hero that some other guys would be if they brought him into this situation.
That's a fair assessment. I mean, I never thought of it that way, but I think Philip Rivers, even though he has a good reputation in the NFL, this is also the same guy who played with a partially torn ligament in his leg in the 2007 AFC Championship game. And this guy is as tough as nails, but if he can defy age, I think that'd be a boost to his reputation, maybe his Hall of Fame candidacy. But I mean, the Colts are in a decline as we speak. They're on a 3. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They've lost 3 in a row. They can't win in Jacksonville anymore for some God knows what reason. And now they're going to rely on Philip Rivers, which I respect. I get them for trying. But this is also the same organization that reeled Jeff Saturday away from ESPN to coach the team. So I guess the Colts are trying to do whatever they can to keep themselves relevant. And I guess that's what this is. Jake, how do you see this Philip Rivers experiment going? He's on the practice squad, but he's most likely to start.
Yeah, so I think it's just straight up a publicity stunt for the Colts, for Philip Rivers. Like, it's not going to go well. Like, let's be honest. 44 years old, out of the league for 5 years. He's going up against some good defenses. He's going to be running for his life. 1 sack, and he's going to like instantly regret everything and just wish that he could go sit back down on his couch with all 10 of his kids, just watch the game. I really don't know why he's doing this. This doesn't benefit him in any way other than he might get like a couple hundred more passing yards, and that's assuming that he's in good enough shape to do it.
Right.
He's out of the league for 5 years, and I can't imagine that it's been in his plans to ever come back. Otherwise, we would have seen this 2-3 years ago. It honestly to me seems kind of dumb because he was ancient when he retired. Now we're talking 5 years later. Like, why are you doing this? Is what I would ask Philip Rivers right away. And to be honest, I don't think that there's a clear answer. He's just kind of there. Maybe he could be like a mentor for the team, but like at that point, just go be an assistant coach. Like, why are you going onto the field at this point in time? And if I'm the Colts, why don't you just sign the number of other undrafted, free agent type of guys? Why don't you try to get someone off another practice squad? It couldn't possibly be smart if you wanted to salvage your season to get a fossil. You're getting a dinosaur. Like, this dude lived at the same time as dinosaurs. And now you're talking about starting him in an NFL game in 2025. This guy was drafted in 2004.
Yes.
That's the same year that Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger were drafted.
Yep.
This is not a good idea.
In the
at all,
in the NFL, that is a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
21 years. 21 years since you were drafted. Listen, at 44 years old, if he's in good shape and he thinks he can do it, you know what? Go for it. Get a workout in. You'll probably take a couple shots along the way, but if you feel like you can do it and you're tough enough and you've proven how tough you can be, you know what? Go out there again. Hey, Tom Brady, if Tom Brady can do it, so can you, right?
Tom Brady also played in like a consistent timeline. There wasn't any breaks for Tom Brady. He was always in game shape. I do not think Phillip Rivers has been in game shape the last 5 years.
Well, the good thing for Phillip Rivers is his wife's name is not Giselle. Otherwise,
Phillip Rivers does have that dad bod with him.
he does. He does have
He's
that.
got 10 kids. What do you expect?
Yeah, he's got 10
Hey,
kids.
Phillip Rivers, how much do you weigh?
He's got an NFL starting offense. Let's think about this. He's got enough kids to have an offensive line, wide receivers, and running backs.
Seriously.
And he can be the quarterback.
Player
John,
coach.
go ahead. Sorry, Alec. I'll finish up and then I want John to go.
Yeah, player
I
coach.
just wanted to make a couple points. I guarantee you they called Andrew Luck before they called Phillip Rivers, and Andrew Luck said, "My body cannot do more NFL a day in my life. I will not come back to the NFL." And I'm shocked that nobody has revived the General Andrew Luck account and written about this story because I'm dying to. Dearest mother, my predecessor has come out of retirement to fight for the loyal Colts. I would write that in a heartbeat. It would be the best tweet ever. But it's sad that this is going to be against one of the best defenses in the league against Seattle at their house in the rain because it's been raining buckets up here.
Right.
So he really had to think about his decision, I think. But on Tuesday, he ran every route tree in their playbook. I think that was one of the reasons they brought him in was because he's familiar with the franchise. He's familiar. I mean, he and Steichen have played together and they understand each other and he knows that playbook. So to do that install on a short week's notice, he was probably the best candidate for that. You bring somebody in off of free agency. I posted the free agency in Armchair's Discord, and that list sucked. There was nothing attractive about that list. So I think on a short-term notice, this is the best option they have for installing their playbook to play against Seattle. And who knows what happens next week?
Yeah, that's the question that we're all hoping to have answered.
Phillip Rivers might walk off the field at the end of the fourth quarter.
He might.
There's Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, Houston. That's what's left of Indianapolis' schedule.
And like we said, like I mentioned, they're in free fall mode in Indianapolis. Absolute free fall mode. A team that once had the best record in the NFL is now collapsing.
Imagine seeing this team at 7-1. Would you believe someone that they said that they would collapse and finish 8-9? No,
possible.
Well, not at the time, that is.
Rivers to Tyler Warren's going to be fun, though. I guarantee you that will be fun.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
Speaking of Tyler Warren, that's another option that they could have had.
They could have, yeah. Tyler Warren played QB at Penn State.
At times.
I don't know why they went this option, but we'll see what happens in Indianapolis.
Two things I want to say real quick.
Go ahead.
Lily was talking about the possibility of if Phillip Rivers could win a Super Bowl. if 44-year-old Phillip Rivers wins a Super Bowl before Josh Allen does, Josh Allen should just retire at that point. If both Mahomes and Lamar are not in the way because their teams suck and they're not going to make the playoffs, and he gets beat by 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, just retire at that point.
Hey,
And
Kevin,
then to what Jake said. To what Jake said about why did Rivers come back? I saw a tweet about like how Matt Stafford was only like a few hundred passing yards away from passing Phillip Rivers all time.
Oh
I wonder
God.
if Phillip Rivers saw that. I'm like, I got to stay ahead of this guy. So I wonder if that's why.
I mean, he doesn't take no for an answer.
He doesn't.
I mean,
Who knows?
and even though I'm a Steeler fan, much like Ben Roethlisberger.
Breaking news, Kevin. The Colts games for the rest of the season have been slated to A&E and the History Channel.
Ouch.
Oh my God.
Hello. What's next?
What's next? Well, we're gonna go over the playoff field. That's what's next. So, I'm gonna say it this way: the Kansas City Chiefs lost a critical game to the Houston Texans in Arrowhead on Sunday Night Football to put them one game below 500 through 13 games. I'm not gonna say their record. I know what it is. I know what will happen if I say it. I'm not gonna say their record.
Thank you. Don't say it, man.
Oh my goodness.
Would the record perhaps happen to be 6 wins and 7 losses?
Uh-oh.
That
You
way.
just triggered it. Oh. A quick shout out to the Houston Texans, by the way. If you love defense, this is your dream come true.
Yes.
Back-to-back masterclasses against the Bills and the Chiefs. And here's something else.
Mhm.
Normally, teams with a strength of schedule over 550, not 500, 550 tend to sink under the pressure.
Yeah.
Would you believe this if the Texans would go 8-5 and have a strength of schedule at 580?
What?
That's almost unheard of.
They
The fact that they're 8-5 with this brutal schedule is impressive in and of itself. And this defense is the catalyst of it. It's not just a one-trick pony. Well-rounded and amazingly balanced. D'Amico Ryans, Matt Burke, they've both done a good job at calling the shots of this defense. And in the Will Anderson and Aziz Al-Shire era, this is the best defense I've seen of any Texans team. And that even includes the years of J.J. Watt.
Yeah. I like the way this defense steps up. They picked off Patrick Mahomes 3 times, and this was on the road in Arrowhead. This is not a gimme game by any means. In prime time. I mean, the Chiefs, I don't know what happened to them this year, but they absolutely – I think they've been exposed. Like, you know how last year they were –
Matt Nagy.
Like, you know how last year when the Chiefs were winning games in the most damnedest of ways? Now they're losing games in the most damnedest of ways.
They flipped with the Bears.
Yes.
They're paying
That's
for
exactly what happened.
It's a complete role it's a role reversal of what happens. Winning games in the most damnedest of ways. Now that's a Broncos thing this year. Not
That's-
a
I don't
Chiefs
know.
thing.
I don't know if you guys saw the same game I did, but Travis Kelce is basically handing the ball to the opposite team.
Well, because he's washed up and terrible.
Well, he
He's like
should just retire
6 years Paul George.
and enjoy his marriage with Taylor Swift while we watch the FIFA World Cup next year.
I think he's thinking about more about Taylor than catching the ball.
You know, the Pirates play the Marlins on the day of
I
their
mean, there's
win.
no blank space to be had for Travis.
Kansas City Swifties.
Well, say hello
Get
to
some bad
Eric
blood with the
Stingley
ball.
Jr. and Kamari Lassiter. How do you want to be locked up by? Will Anderson? Derek Stingley? Well, this was by far and away the worst performance of Mahomes' career.
Yes.
And it speaks more towards the Texans and how they structure things. They're daring Mahomes to be superhuman, which he's tried to do all season long. He's been superhuman all year long. The blueprint's officially out on how to beat this Chiefs team. And this game is confirmation. The Chiefs, as we once knew them from years past, they're dead. And if I'm a Chiefs fan, on the download, is this the end of this dynasty? That depends on how you view them. Did the Patriots have a long dynasty, or was it 2 dynasties with a 9-year drought in the middle.
That's a good point. Now, one thing I want to mention, the Chiefs are actually out of the contention for winning the AFC West. They have not won. They've been winning the AFC West every year since 2016. Last time they didn't win the division was 2015. Well, that streak's going to come to an end because the Broncos are 11-2, the Chargers are 9-4. Those two are going to duke it out for the division. The Chiefs are just lucky if they can even get in the playoffs at this point. And I'm looking at the playoff field right now and who's still in the running to get in the postseason. I'm going to start off with the division leaders. The Broncos and Patriots are tied at 11-2. Two teams that we thought were going to be really good are damn good. And damn good's better than pretty good. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on top of the AFC South with a 9-4 record. Steelers are 7-6 in first place, although they're grinding it out in games, Alec.
Yep. Like that Ravens game in which, in honesty, did either team really deserve to win?
Yeah.
It doesn't help that Isaiah Likely's touchdown catch was ruled an incomplete pass when Scotty Miller did the exact same thing against the Packers, and that was ruled a touchdown. What are we doing, refs?
Yeah. And
Hey,
then,
Alec, guess what record the Ravens have?
No.
Hey, you're tempting Jake and I over here. Stop.
No. Put your hands down.
Oh, the hand motion of death.
No.
The hand motion of death. Next thing you know, there's going to be a South Park episode over this. Oh, wait, it already happened.
Also,
dead.
don't look now, but Davis Mills has looked better than Stroud.
Yeah.
Mills. Salute.
Big time. Anyway, the Chargers and Bills are tied with a 9-4 record. The Texans have the last wild card spot at 8-5. And then the Colts, Ravens, and Chiefs are on the outside looking in. Although Miami's on the outside looking in too with a 6-7 mark. No. Anyway.
Matt, you walked yourself right into that one.
I did walk
Yeah,
into
you
that
walked yourself into a trap with this.
I walked into that one. Yeah, those teams are on the outside looking in. The Jets, Browns, Vegas Raiders, and Titans are out. Although the Bengals are 4-9, they still mathematically have a chance.
It's too late for them. Come on.
It might be
little too
serious.
late.
It's too late.
It might be too little, too late. It might be. It's good to see Joe Burrow back, but I think it's over at this point. The Bills' loss, I think, sealed their fate. But anyway, looking at this AFC playoff field, I'm going to come to a couple of you on the AFC side, and then I'll come to the rest of you for the NFC side. So, Lily, I mentioned the AFC playoff side. Do you think it will remain the way it is, or do you think someone could sneak in there?
I have a feeling it's going to be. I think it's going to pretty much stay the way it is. I can't believe I'm saying this. The only thing I could see, and again, I think the Chiefs have kind of sealed their fate, but I don't know. They're just such a team where that would happen this year, where all of a sudden we think that it's time for some kind of fresh faces in the playoffs. You know, we're going to see some different teams in there. It's not going to just be the Chiefs and Mahomes. All of a sudden, they're going to just find their magic way to get in and make something happen. Which I know is a kind of ridiculous thing to say, but I feel like they're the only team. Maybe again, potentially we could see the Colts if all of a sudden Phillip Rivers balls out and is just like having some insane games, like cementing his legacy. But
Right.
I think it will remain the same unless we have some otherworldly Chiefs performances in games, because again, I'm not trying to count them out yet, because it feels like if I do, it's not gonna be the reality of it.
Kev, I'm gonna come to you next on this one. Do you think the AFC playoff field stays the same, or do you think anyone could sneak in? I mean, Miami, they've been playing well as of late. They could sneak in there. What do you think?
I'm kind of in agreement with Lily. I think it pretty much stays the same for the most part, but like Lily, I'm going to agree with her with saying that the Chiefs, I think, could slip in there. I think the Colts could slip themselves out because of that Daniel Jones injury. You're relying on a 44-year-old, 4 or 5 year removed Phillip Rivers, who's then retired and now back in out of desperation, let's face it, to kind of win as much games as you can to try to keep yourselves in playoff position. If he doesn't do good, I think Colts are out and Chiefs get in, because Chiefs right now are in desperation mode themselves. But Pat Mahomes is still going to be Pat Mahomes. I think he's going to find his rhythm soon. I have no reason to believe he's not going to, based on years past. This season obviously has been a regression, but I think more so as a team, not just him. I think it's because this Chiefs team, like, they can't win one-score games this season like they were able to do last season when they went 12-0. Not the same case this year. So I feel like Mahomes could definitely bounce back and then just sneak in. And then with the Colts, Phillip Rivers needs to basically turn back the clock if the Colts are going to put themselves in playoff position. So I could easily see the Colts get out and then the Chiefs sneak their way in.
I honestly think the playoff picture might remain the way it is on the AFC side. I think the fact that Buffalo is outside they're not in first place in the AFC East right now is actually very surprising. Although one thing I will say about the Patriots, I'm not going to discredit them, but their schedule is very, very easy.
Very easy.
They have a very easy schedule. Like,
If I could turn back time.
But look, it's like they lost to the Raiders. They look at the Raiders, the Dolphins, like the Saints, the Titans, the Browns. Oh my!
They had, I think, one or two good wins. That win against the Bills barely won by. I think they won by like 3, and they won. They won one more game. I'm forgetting who it was. I think
Tampa.
it was toward Tampa. That's again. I think they barely won that game too by like 3
5
points.
by 5.
5 points. So those are the only two like good teams that they face. You look at the rest of their schedule; they're either not in playoff position or they're like not a 500 team. So
yeah.
So
take
this
that as you
upcoming
will.
game against Buffalo is going to be a true test to how good they actually are. And I think the Bills, they're going to remember what happened that last game. And I think Buffalo is pissed.
They're pissed. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, if things
We're gonna
might
play
go
out
the
there.
way we think they're going to go, we might see a BTA in New England at this point. We
Let me
might.
just say something, though. Let me just
Go.
say something. Drake May, MVP.
Not Matthew
I
Stafford.
love Drake May. I
Uh,
love Drake May. And he's going to lead the Patriots. I feel like Drake May, the best quarterback in the AFC, perhaps even the NFL.
What about your boy Matt Stafford?
what about your boy Matt Stafford? What about Jared Goff?
Drake May is otherworldly. I can't even begin to describe just how good of a quarterback he is. Did you see in that last game that, oh my goodness, he had that beautiful corner route in the end zone, dropped perfectly in the basket. And you want to tell me that you put anyone above this guy? No, he's led the Patriots, who I predicted would be below 500, in the top spot in the AFC. Almost single-handedly, because I couldn't name a single Patriots wide receiver right now, to be honest.
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Wasn't he hurt, though? Isn't he hurt, or was that?
No,
Or
Diggs
is
is fine
he-
now. Diggs is fine now.
This is fine.
You're just going to
Diggs is
throw my boy Keyshawn Booty under the bus like that?
He's Sean Booty.
Keyshawn
I don't
Booty.
know. I'd say
All right.
he's bad, but he's with Drake May. I'm just saying. Drake May has not played a single bad game all year. This trend will not continue in the final 3 weeks of the year.
Mm.
And it probably won't continue in the playoffs because it's Drake May, an elite quarterback.
I would just like to point out one thing. Strength of schedule for the Patriots, 349. Strength of schedule for the Rams, 527. And they're the top, and it's DC in the NFC.
349, 527. You're talking a 178-point difference.
Matthew Stafford was up there for a while, though. I'm going to be honest. It's going to legitimately, all jokes
I think he's
aside,
still up
it's going to
there.
be a close battle. I think, however, that terrible game against Carolina Stafford had is going to do him in when it comes to looking at how good May played versus how good Stafford played. All jokes aside about Drake May and all that stuff like that, I still would take May just because he's been consistently great. I've not seen May do too many stupid things. I think interception-wise, they're very close in numbers. And and May has led his team to the top of the conference. Now, this week for Stafford, I sincerely hope that he throws 4 picks, but I'm going to be honest, he's going to throw 4 touchdowns.
Out of spite. So they're not picking him out of spite.
I mean, his chance for a revenge game was 2 years ago in the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we kind of locked him up with our terrible defense. So I don't know. Anyways, in the MVP discussion, I will take May just because he's been consistently great. Stafford's has more recently some downs.
I understand that. It's going to be a tough discussion. I initially thought Jonathan Taylor was going to win NFL MVP, but he's fallen off a cliff ever since the London game, or no, the international game. I think it was in Germany.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was in Germany. That he's fallen off ever since, and that's a shame. Now we're going to go to the NFC side. The division leaders are the Rams at 10-3, the Packers, Lily, 8-5 Eagles. The Bucks are 7-6 and tied for first place in the division. And then your wild cards are Seattle, San Fran, and the Bears, who were the number 1 seed the week before. And now here they are at the 7th seed. One thing I like about this NFC playoff field is that I feel like there's a changing of the guard, if you will. You know how coming into the season, the AFC was seen as the way better conference, how it's so much more competitive and so much more, battle-tested teams. I think that's for the NFC now. I think the NFC has so many good teams. Like the Rams are for real. The fact that the Bears are actually this good, I think it just says so much about how Caleb Williams has improved under Ben Johnson. And then the Niners are back to where they need to be. And then Sammy D in Seattle. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that Sam Darnold with the Seahawks would have worked, but look at that. Anyway, John, I'm going to come to you. This playoff field, also the Lions, Panthers, and Cowboys are on the outside looking in with a chance. Do you think that field remains the same in the NFC, or do you think there's a change at season's end?
I saw the weirdest post today, and it was talking about how some of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL are out, and it mentioned Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and the last one was J.J. McCarthy, and I was really scratching my head on that one because I really feel like the Packers and the Lions have something to say about that. But then, up until last week, the Bears were the number 1 in that division. So anyway, it's just interesting that McCarthy's name was thrown out there.
Yeah.
The flip-flop is real because the AFC has had predominantly the strongest teams in the NFL, and that's flipped. And I don't see, other than the Broncos and maybe the Patriots, that the AFC have elite defenses like the Rams, like Seattle. Even the Eagles, who had an elite defense that actually won the Super Bowl last year, has fallen off. And I think they're out in the first game that they play. So this changing of the guard is real. The NFC is probably going to win the Super Bowl, in my opinion, because whether it's, you're going to have 3 teams from the NFC West that probably get in, and then that leaves that probably leaves the Lions out. I'm sorry, Jake. That probably leaves the second place team for the NFC East out, which would be the Cowboys.
Right.
And then I'm looking at the Buccaneers, who just lost to the Saints, and I'm questioning if they even end up with first place and the Panthers get in. So it'll be a really interesting 4-game stretch down to the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned. And the only team that I'm looking at that might change their stripes in the AFC is probably the Ravens, especially if Miami beats the Steelers this week.
Listen, I think that Baltimore's only chance to get in the playoffs is win the division. That's their only shot at getting in. And Pittsburgh is tic-tacky. You don't know what you're going to get from them, especially, Aaron Rodgers hasn't been as good as many people made him out to be for his final season. And you mentioned
you saw the J.J. McCarthy news, right?
Yeah, I've heard of that, yeah. I'm going to come to Alec on this one. We mentioned the AFC side for a good amount of time, but I'm going to come to the NFC side when it comes to you. Do you think the NFC side changes as far as the playoff field right now, or do you think that Detroit, Carolina, or Dallas can sneak their way in there?
All right, before I give my take, just want to say that we have a 4-goal night in the NHL tonight. Shout out to Steven Stamkos.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. All right. I think we're going to see. Yeah, I think we're going to see 2 changes on the NFC side, while the AFC will have the same teams on them as they are right now, except for one thing in the order of how they're placed. I see the Texans stealing the AFC South from the Jaguars. For that happening, they're going to win out, and Jacksonville's going to lose to Denver. That Houston owns tiebreak. By that point, Houston owns tiebreaker on conference record.
They do.
Now, NFC, I see the Rams and Packers finishing as the top two. Philadelphia is just going to barely hold on to the free seed as they escape the clutches of the Panthers, not the Buccaneers. And the Panthers take the division, sweeping the Buccaneers in head-to-head. Philadelphia gets number 3 on conference record. I see the battle for the 5 seed being decided by a tiebreaker. San Francisco wins by head-to-head over Seattle. I see them both finishing 12-5. The last spot is going to come down to Detroit and Chicago. I think Chicago beats the 49ers, but because I see the Lions beating the Bears in Week 18, I see the Lions claiming the last spot in the NFC.
Detroit's getting hot at the right time. I think that last game against the Bears is going to be very, very decisive as to who gets that last spot.
It will be tough because no Brian Branch. But as long as you have Sonic and Knuckles with you, you're in good hands.
And I could tell you right now, if that game decides the last wild card spot, the storyline will be insane.
Yes. How about this? Lions versus Bears, game 256 on NBC.
And Ben Johnson versus Dan Campbell.
It's at Soldier Field, right?
Yeah, at Soldier Field.
At Soldier Field.
Storylines are going to be epic.
It will be.
Jared Goff can't play outside.
Jake's probably gonna say a good prayer or two tonight before he goes to bed, hoping that the Lions can finish the season strong.
Jared Goff can't play outside.
Ben Johnson is the one that likes to push grandmas down the stairs, right, Jake?
That's my puppy.
What I was gonna say, was it him or Aaron Glenn where he likes to kick puppies?
I think Glenn kicked the puppies. Johnson pushed the grandma. Both of them just terrible people. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. All right. Now before we get into fresh spreads, I do want to mention that the Giants have the number 1 overall pick in the draft if the season ended right now. And it'd be the first time the Giants would have the number 1 pick since 1965. And back in 1965, new radio broadcasters had this type of broadcasting voice because they had a certain way of doing things. They didn't follow a certain style. They had their own style, and it was this voice. But it's 2025. And if we do get the number 1 pick in the draft, I don't know how that will go. Kev, you mentioned it before. We might not be able to hold on to it.
There's absolutely the Giants are not holding on to it. If they're the Giants, they're gonna mess it up in the most Giants way possible, like they did last year when Drew Lock went off and had 4 touchdowns in that one game in the final
against the Colts.
Against the Colts. Yeah, and we lost the number 1 pick, gave it to the Patriots. Then they lost, and then it ended up going to the Titans. So I feel like the Titans are going to get it again. And the Giants, the rest of their schedule, it's fairly easy for them. Like if you look at it, it's like Raiders, Commanders, Cowboys,
The Raiders,
and
Commanders,
someone.
Minnesota Vikings, yeah.
Yeah, so like 3 out of those 4, I think like they're going to call them 3 culture wins and then lose against Dallas again, or maybe beat them somehow as like revenge for the Russell Wilson game, and then we're going to lose the number 1 pick. And even if we do get the number 1 pick, I don't want to keep it. I'd rather trade down and get a ton more draft capital and then still pick within the first round, because I know exactly what's going to happen. If we get the number 1 pick, I don't trust Joe Shane right now to make the right decision for a number 1 pick. I'd rather, if we do get it, trade down, get a ton more picks, because there's other teams that would be more than willing to get the top overall pick. You can allow the Jets, the Browns, because God knows that they need it, because they are looking for quarterbacks, right? And the Giants, like I picture them either getting the top safety in this coming draft, maybe a Caleb Downs, or maybe Carnell Tate from Ohio State. That's who I envisioned them getting, because we really need to have a guy like as insurance if a guy like Neighbors gets hurt, like in the middle of the season, like what just happened here. So I don't anticipate Giants getting the number 1 pick. They're going to have like 2. They're going to win 2 of their next 4 games. I guarantee.
They probably will.
So yeah,
they'll finish 4-13, and that'd be pitiful. It'll be like a big kick in the nuts as far as getting the number 1 pick in the draft. Now, before we get into fresh breads, real quick, the Falcons are 14-10 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the half. Panther fans, where are you at? Where are you at, Panther fans? Well, I know
not in my case because I'm a North Carolina resident in general, but I would love to see the Panthers in the playoffs.
I wouldn't mind it at all. Hey, listen, Bryce Young's having a really good year to turn things around.
Bring playoff football back to the COT.
Can they play the Rams, please?
nah.
True.
Well,
That one Panthers fan that made that rap song is probably like so ecstatic right now.
Also, going back to the Cam Newton thing, I wasn't sure if they were going to put the helmet over the hat or the hat over the helmet if he came back.
Oh my god! All right, so now this leads us. That means we're on to our second last segment of the show. It's time for Fresh Spreads, which is idealized by Talercios. And for those of you who don't know, Talercios is a good friend of ours. I actually have a read through for Talercios on my phone. So before we get into Fresh Spreads, let's read this through. So since 1988, Talercio's Ultimate Gourmet Deli has operated as an extension of the Talercio home. Friendly faces, lively banter, and sometimes even a compassionate ear are served alongside overstuffed sandwiches and heaping platters of homemade comfort food. For more information on Talercio's Ultimate Gourmet, visit talerciosdeli.com or call 732-576-1888. That is located in Monmouth County in Red Bank, which is where I used to live not too long ago. Talercios, we love you. Also, get the Saki Smash sandwich. It's burgers and 3 types of cheeses on a semolina bun. Chef's kiss.
Next time you go in there, Matt, you need to ask them if we can rewrite that ad for them because that sounds like a diner.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewrite that from them.
They serve the biggest monster sub sandwiches, custom made before your eyes on the planet.
Sounds good.
Oh my god!
Go watch them on Instagram. You'll want one immediately.
Their Instagram is something else. And Eric is an awesome dude. I talked to him. I'm gonna try and see if I can speak to him again about maybe coming on here just to show us a sandwich. But that'd be something. So
don't make me hungry. Don't make me.
How was in that Cam Scattaboo sandwich that you ate, Matt?
Oh my god! So the Scattaboo thing sandwich, that was a Cam Scattaboo related sandwich. It was like prime rib, Cooper white pepper jack cheese, onions, and it had bacon.
Oh my!
Anything with bacon? Mwah.
When can I organize a trip to New York?
To New Jersey?
Yeah, New Jersey, New York.
Ring the bell and first-time customers get free fried ravioli.
Only at
Talercios.
So like, you're taking me there, right?
I'll take you there.
All right.
Anyway, so we're gonna do Fresh Spreads a little bit differently because we are running a little bit on time and we do have to get to Fresh Fire Friday, what John has. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read all 15 spreads for week 15, and we're each gonna pick 2 that we like the most. I'm gonna read them off slowly, and you pick 2. I'm gonna come to each and every one of you. So the Giants are hosting the Commanders. Giants -2.5. No Jane Daniels. Browns at Bears. Bears -7.5 at home. Ravens at Bengals. Ravens -2.5 in Cincy. Chargers at Chiefs. Chiefs -5.5. Bills at Patriots. Buffalo -1. Raiders at Eagles. Eagles -11.5. Kenny Pickett will be the starting quarterback. Cardinals at Texans. Texans -9.5. Packers at Broncos. Packers -2.5 in Denver.
Shotgun.
Lions at Rams. Rams -6. Panthers at Saints. Panthers -2.5 in New Orleans. Titans at 49ers. Niners a 12.5 point favorite. Colts at Seahawks. Seahawks a 13.5 point favorite. Cowboys hosting the Vikings. Cowboys a 6 point favorite. And then on Monday night, Dolphins at Steelers. Steelers -3. So remember, you each need to pick 2 spreads that you like the most. It could be a dog. It could be a favorite. It could be whatever you want. It just has to be a spread. And it's pick two of them. I'm going to start off with Lily here.
So I forget the exact numbers, but I'm gonna go with the Bears Browns, and then I already forget who's playing the Cowboys, but
The Vikings.
Vikings Cowboys. Yeah, those are my two.
Okay, so
I feel pretty
you're
good
picking
about
Dallas -6, and you're picking the Bears -7.5.
Yes, I am.
Okay, Jake, you're up.
All right, give me the Chargers +5.5, and then give me
Okay.
the Panthers.
-2.5.
Yep.
Okay, John.
I definitely like the Panthers over the Saints, probably by at least a touchdown. And then I like the underdog in Monday night. I think Miami is going to beat Pittsburgh.
So Miami +3. Okay,
No shot.
Kev.
Where's your knee, Alex? Show me your knee. Tell me I'm lying.
Oh my god.
Right here, buddy. Right here.
Give me the Bills -1.5 over the Patriots, and give me the Bengals +2.5 over the Ravens.
Ooh. Okay. Okay, Alex.
Oh my goodness. All right. Give me the Packers to win and cover over the Broncos.
Okay.
And the other one, you know what? I'll take the Bears winning, but give me the Browns to cover.
Okay, so you have the Bears winning outright, but the Browns cover.
Yes.
Okay.
Raise your hand if you're Shador.
Oh, I can't wait for John's Fresh Finder Friday.
Come,
right.
come on. Fire Kevin Stefanski right now, please.
Okay, here are my two that I'm picking. I'll pick the Texans -9.5 over the Cardinals. And my second one, I'll pick the Cowboys -6 over the Vikings. Those are my two. So that is our modified version of Fresh Spreads, brought to you by Toristas, and apparently the Carolina Hurricanes won over the Devils. One person's happy.
Washington Capitals.
Washington Capitals, excuse me. Sorry about
Devils lost 8-4.
My God.
We'll get to
I feel
them
bad.
later, a later show, because I have a lot to say about them.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait for that when you get into a Fresh Finder Friday at some point. But speaking of Fresh Finder Friday, that's what we're going to do next. It's our favorite segment of the show. One person in this panel goes off for 5 minutes about a take, and you will be rated on a scale of Fresh Finder 5. Fresh meaning good, fine meaning okay, or fried meaning, dude, you stink. Get out of here. And John has Fresh Finder Friday this week. He's got 5 minutes to say whatever take he wants. John, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
So my FFF is going to be angry me yelling about the NCAA because it's basically broken at this point. You have all of this drama with the coaching carousel between Lane Kiffin and Mai Sharona getting fired. The timeline for the schedule and how things work athletically is completely broken. I remember back in the day when the NCAA actually had teeth and they were punishing players like Johnny Manziel. Now players get paid, $5-6 million a year, and they can change teams if they get butthurt over something. I saw lots of people trying to fix the college playoff this week. I didn't see one person standing up for athletes who have gotten screwed after committing to Michigan and don't have a coach anymore. Students who are going to be entering the transfer portal a day after all of their bowl games. Bowl games are on the 1st. The transfer portal opens on the 2nd of January. That needs to be fixed. Commitment day needs to be fixed. Let's make commitment day after all of these hirings and firings of coaches. It took Penn State 2 months to find a coach. And it took Iowa State. It took Iowa State a day to find a coach. So you need to have, if you're going to have a portal for players, you need to have a portal for coaches, as far as I'm concerned. And it needs to be on the same timeline as athletes so that you don't have this drama going into the bowls and going into the playoffs. Having these coach carousels during the playoffs, during bowl season, is ridiculous to me, as far as I'm concerned. And then I'm absolutely pissed off at how petty Ole Miss is. Every other coach that had a team in their playoffs is letting their coach who quit play through their playoff and play through their bowl season and into the playoffs, except Ole Miss, who said, no, we don't want you here. Bye-bye. We will play without you and all of your coaching staff and probably lose our playoff game because we don't have anybody that's coaching for our team right now. Then you have the fact that you have all this money being dumped into NIL, and that's breaking the system even more to the fact where you have a team or a program like Utah who's potentially going into business with a telemarketing, a Fortune 500 company, and partnering, giving them ownership over the program for profit so that they can have NIL money to play on the same level as the 12 teams that just got selected for the 12-team playoff. If you actually want to fix the playoffs, Sunday was the closest I've ever seen a playoff, the NCAA come to, they came right up to Selection Sunday for the Final Four. And if you're going to do it that way, actually do a Final Four style playoff system where you have an NIT for all the teams that don't make the playoff, the 12 teams into the playoffs. And that way you prop up the bowl games, and those teams are on camera having been selected for those bowl games, and now they can't back out like Notre Dame just did. So to me, that's how you fix the playoffs and the bowl games is you put them in front of a camera on Selection Sunday and force them into a bowl game so that Notre Dame can't back out if it doesn't make the final 12 and that playoff. And that way JMU and these other Power 12 teams get a bowl game and don't block another team that deserves to be in the playoffs like Vandy or Texas from getting in. They have a bowl game. They're in the NIT. They go play their game, and they don't block a team that's better than them.
Is that all?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. You saved a little bit of time. All right. Lily, we're going to start with you first. Fresh, fine, or fried?
Fresh. I think it's a very fresh take. Considering, again, even though I'm not somebody who follows college football to the best extent, obviously I've seen a lot of the recent commentary about people talking about coaching decisions. NIL is always just going to be in the news. And I think you bring up a lot of really good points about how this system clearly needs to be fixed, and there's a lot of problems with it. So for me, that's just a very easy fresh.
All right. Jake, fresh, fine, or fried?
I mean, that's beyond fresh. That's like the easiest pickings you could have gone with. I don't think I've seen anyone who's happy with coaches leaving in the middle of the season. You know, for Michigan State, it made sense. We're not in a bowl. Our game's done. We fired our coach and we got a new one. For Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, you are one of 12 teams in the country that gets to go into the playoffs. For NIL money, I think it's ridiculous. I honestly thought it was just going to be that we could buy jerseys with our player's name and they could be in a commercial for a local restaurant. Didn't realize it was going to be so many millions of dollars. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Kevin, fresh, fine, or fried?
Oh, it's absolutely fresh. I agree with everything that John has said. I think that Lane Kiffin situation is ridiculous, especially considering the fact that your team is in the playoffs. So why are you're leaving to go to a team that's not in the playoffs, but in a bowl game instead? You're going to go against my UH Cougars, by the way. That's why I changed his background. I hope that my UH Cougars absolutely kick Lane Kiffin's behind and punish him for leaving Ole Miss in the middle of while his team is in the playoffs. Don't worry, go Cougs. We're gonna beat LSU. I assure you.
All right, Alec, fresh, fine, or fried?
I mean, if this was a dinner dish, it would be the freshest dish ever in college. I mean, nobody would be happy if their coach left for another program they're competing in the college football playoff. If the team that's their season over is not playing for anything and their coach leaves, that's understandable. But in the middle of a college football playoffs scenario, they leave, and then another coach has to step up and fill in his shoes. That's beyond pettiness. You're just being at a next level of petty. What are you even doing at this point? Because Lane Kiffin, you should be ashamed of yourself for what you just did. Because there is no place in college football for the act that just happened. Then you get the Sharon Moore situation, which is drama personified. And I can't comment much on this, knowing that I'm a fan of a team in which they have employed a head coach that has been on a similar but not to this extent levels of bad with Ime Udoka and the Houston Rockets. But then again, the point remains. Nobody should ever see a head coach leave for another program that's competing in a bowl game and not the college football playoff, while the program itself is in the middle of the college football playoff. That's just beyond pettiness. It's not just standard pettiness.
All right, fresh. And I think the reason why is because, like everyone alluded to, I don't like it where a coach can leave a program before a bowl game, nonetheless, but before a college football playoff game. You're competing for a natty and you just decide to bounce. It's not right. It's not loyal. And it's just doesn't make sense to me. And then the Sharon Moore thing, we talked about Sharon Moore, what happened earlier with having him, why he got fired. That is just disgraceful in itself. And then NIL is getting to the point where high schoolers are going to try and get NIL money now. And if that happens, God help high schools, because you're going to give people who are 15 to 18 years old a chance to be compensated for their play. And I think that would be ridiculous. College football is great. It's a good way to bring communities together, but it's clearly flawed, and I think it needs to be changed because they think it's professional when it really isn't. And that is, I think, how Fresh Fire Friday is going to end. I love the take that John mentioned. I think it was solid on every point. But now we got to go on and mention a certain company that has MyCamp Solutions and Octagon Payments. MyCamp Solutions and Octagon Payments is a wholesale credit card company located in Arizona. And our guy Ryan is awesome, former Michigan State alum. And if you want to see us talk about him, here's a good way to get the program out there.
Hey, I'm Matt Sirianni, and I'm a quarter of Foursquare Sports. And if you don't know me by now, I'm all about Octagon Payments and MyCamp Solutions. MyCamp Solutions is the only wholesale credit card company that will give you amazing processing rates without signing a long-term contract. And along with outstanding customer service, this company is a betting favorite against anyone you put in front of them. So sign up today. Go to www.mycampsolutions.com or www.octagonpayments.com and apply now. MyCamp Solutions. It's a first-round knockout.
As someone with a mixed martial arts background, I kind of look at that and I'm like, wow, I still got it. All I know is don't trust me on a golf course. I am not the best at that. I could put the video of me at that charity golf outing up here, but I don't want to do that.
Matt, I've seen you do your golf swing. Your swing is flatter than the medium soft drinks that they give at MetLife Stadium.
I see where you went there.
Oh my god.
That's foul. That's foul. That's a tech. That's a tech.
Technical foul. Technical foul. But I got to give a shout out to a couple people who I talked to about the golf outing. David Smith Armchair, the Armchair Commentators Unite Discord. Great guy, great owner of a Discord. And if you want to join his Discord, we're all part of it. You should you should talk to Armchair. He's a great dude, and he'll let anyone in that at least contributes well. But anyways, from Alec Nava, Kevin Zolkovic, Lily Schumacher, Jake Hauger, and John Welch, I'm Matt Sirianni. God bless you all for joining us today on an episode of Four Square Sports. We'll be back on the Saturday after Christmas because my birthday's coming up and so much more. This has been Four Square Sports, which is sports at score. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Hi, everybody. Christopher Mad Dog Russo here. And you know what I do? Four Square Sports on Sunday nights, 6 to 8, with all those parts of the country taken care of. Listen all the time. You got it. Mad Dog on Mad Dog Unleashed. Listen to my guys. Listen to my guys.